All right, you all know me. Cue the Green Day.
Here we go.
We've got another Resident Evil update, and it's not necessarily the news that I wanted to hear. Now, this update takes us to Sudbury, Ontario, Canada, where Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City was filmed. In an article posted to Sudbury.com pertaining to the city's economic status, it appears that Sony Pictures is headed back to the world of Resident Evil with a project titled Umbrella Chronicles. Included in the list of funding recipients are a number of film projects, including a project called Umbrella Chronicles, which is receiving $2 million. Although no details are provided, the Umbrella Chronicles is a Resident Evil video game and the 2021 movie Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, filmed in Sudbury. The production company behind the Umbrella Chronicles movie is Raccoon HG Film Productions, which was behind the Sudbury filmed Resident Evil movie. While there was never an official announcement that there would be a sequel to Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City, the ending of the film definitely implied that there would be something coming after, whether it be a direct sequel, whether it be kind of a spin-off film and not necessarily an adaptation of one of the main games in the franchise. It definitely implies that there will be something. We see Ada Wong in the end. We see Albert Wesker kind of taking on the version of himself that we saw in the later Resident Evil entries. At the very least, it definitely implies the potential for a sequel. I personally wasn't a big fan of Welcome to Raccoon City. I felt that there were some very strange character choices made, the location felt off, the pacing felt off, and I've never been able to get past the fact that there was so much source material from those first 3 games that was just glossed over and left out of the story. It's always felt to me like they should have taken that film and just done the mansion incident, just done Resident Evil 1 and saved the events of Resident Evil 2 and 3 for a separate film, because at least 2 and 3 take place in Raccoon City on the same night at the same time. The mansion incident takes place before the other 2. It felt weird that they were happening at the same time and that things kind of glossed back and forth. It just didn't feel like a complete Resident Evil adaptation. It had a lot of the elements of the video games, and there were some really nice moments in there. I think of the moments when Chris has the lighter in the mansion and he's fighting the zombies. That was really cool. I enjoyed that. And I would have taken an entire movie of those types of things. And I think if they would have just done the mansion incident and tried to tackle that in one film, it could have been a really scary, great adaptation of Resident Evil. But they tried to cram way too much into one movie. I personally don't think that it was worthy of a sequel, especially if this is the Resident Evil universe that Sony is trying to build. I've said it before and I will say it again. I think Resident Evil has the opportunity to be one of the richest, coolest cinematic universes in entertainment history, but they have to get the adaptation right, and I don't think we've ever had a true, real adaptation of the video games. And look, I know there are things that they're going to have to leave out. You couldn't cram that much source material into one film, but that's why I don't understand why they tried to do it with Welcome to Raccoon City. Yes, there were good things. There were some moments when the outbreak was happening that were dark and atmospheric and tense. Moments in the mansion that were really, really well done. But then it's juxtaposed with scenes like when Leon is wearing the headphones and he misses the explosion outside of the RPD headquarters, and just really strange moments like that that didn't quite work for me. Some of the performances didn't work for me. The character choices didn't work for me. The zombies were cool. There were definitely cool things about the film. It was not one of the worst Resident Evil adaptations we've ever seen, especially when you look at the later entries in the Paul W.S. Anderson films. Although I will say, at least they stuck with that continuity, and at least they tied together somehow. I wouldn't say they were great adaptations, but there were good things about those films too. So it's kind of a give and take with Resident Evil. I think it always has been, but I still don't think that we've ever moved past a lukewarm adaptation. I think we've yet to just stick the landing and nail it. And the Resident Evil source material begs to be nailed. It begs to be done right. Hell, I'm halfway convinced that Resident Evil will only work as a television series or a streaming series, given how much source material has been skipped out in all of the film adaptations. So no, I'm not really super excited about the possibility of an Umbrella Chronicles movie, because I don't think there was enough there in the first film, a good enough foundation to justify having a sequel to it. Of course, Umbrella Chronicles refers to the 2007 video game of the same name, which took on an on-rails shooter gameplay style comprised of 5 different scenarios, all taking place within the first 3 games of the series. The game almost plays out like an arcade game while following the events of the rise and the fall of the Umbrella Corporation. It's narrated by the series antagonist Albert Wesker. Now, could this work? Potentially, yeah. It's a very action-packed game, and given the fact that Wesker was kind of the focus of the end credit scene, it would only make sense that things are told from his perspective this time. But again, my biggest issue with it is I don't think that Welcome to Raccoon City was a strong enough foundation for another sequel or to continue building off of that. Now, granted, I saw it once. I would definitely have to watch it again. Maybe my thoughts would change, but I don't think that they would, because again, I'm super picky about Resident Evil. I may be pickier about Resident Evil than I am any other horror IP that's out there, including Halloween. And I'm a huge Halloween fan. You all know this. But I don't think Resident Evil has ever really hit the mark and done what it could potentially do in a live action adaptation. Now, what they could do is they could use the multiple scenarios angle to go back and explore some of the things that they missed in Welcome to Raccoon City. But you could also argue that they should have just done that in the first place instead of skipping over those things anyways. So they're a little bit of a weird situation. I'm not exactly sure if they really do end up adapting Umbrella Chronicles. I don't necessarily know how they would do that. Either way, it sounds like we're in for more Resident Evil soon, so please, guys, comment down below. Let me know your thoughts. Are you interested in a Resident Evil Umbrella Chronicles movie, or do you kind of fall into the camp that I'm in, where the first one felt too lackluster to warrant another sequel? If you haven't done so already, please join the Let's Talk Movies Facebook group. You can type in Let's Talk Movies YouTube channel --community page to join that. One of our admins will let you in. Be sure to leave this one a like. New episodes of our shows premiere every week at 8:30 p.m. Eastern. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at LTM Podcast KY. Be good to each other. We love you. Talk to you soon. Peace.